I am a comet.
Welcome to part 13 of my series about Softube Modular. Today I'm going to talk about the Mutable Instruments module Clouds. But at first I thank you very much indeed for donating and by doing so making it possible for me to produce this video and others still to come. Thank you. Mutable Instruments call their module a texture synthesizer. Well, it's all about granular synthesis, and because I promised that everybody would be able to follow my series, even without a deeper knowledge, or knowledge at all, about the things I'm showing, I'm going to explain some basic things about the concept of sonic grains. By the way, it was back in July 2016, more than 2 years ago, when I started this series and made my promise. The basic idea of sonic grains is simply cutting a certain piece of audio data into smaller parts. How small? Well, we will be dealing with milliseconds, mostly at least. Okay, cutting something into smaller pieces doesn't sound that revolutionary, does it? But when you think of treating each of these little snippets of sound individually and independently from each other, well, then the whole thing starts getting color. But what can I do with these things, with a single grain even? What are the manipulations I can do with each grain individually? Let me start with some basic operations. I can change the order of the grains, the way they are played back. The Greek composer Xenakis used to do this using tape and scissors.
I am a comet. I am a met. 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 I am.
I can change the direction a single grain is played back, forward or backwards, or even changing to and fro.
Comet.
I can change the speed an individual grain is played back at.
Comet.
I can layer a certain amount of grains.
Comet.
I can determine how often a grain shall be played back repeatedly. I can stretch a certain part, some milliseconds, of the piece of sound to an audible length without changing the pitch of its content. I call this technique a sonic microscope. And all this I can do while my piece of music, my piece of sound, is lying under a kind of sonic microscope, and I undertake the named manipulations with audible events of a length of, well, sometimes only some milliseconds, and then I combine these manipulated snippets to a longer audible work of sonic arts, which quite often doesn't remind any more of the material I once put into my granular processor, into, for example, clouds. Wow! But how do granular processors do these things? How does clouds do that? Well, I won't go deep into the mathematics of digital granular sound processing. Indeed, I'm not going to even touch that matter, not in this video at last. The basic concept is that there is a part of clouds, as it is with all granular processors, which is called the buffer. Please imagine the buffer as a storage room where all these grains are stored. Clouds can only work with sound, which is in the buffer. Sometimes the grains walk into the storage room on one side, go through the whole buffer, the whole storage room, and leave it again on the other side. And while the grains are walking through this buffer, they are manipulated, as I told you before. This situation is called processing live, or processing live data, or live streams of sound. But sometimes the grains are lazily hanging out in the buffer while they are manipulated by clouds. Nobody comes in and nobody leaves the storage room, the buffer, and clouds has got all the time to thoroughly beating these lazy grains up. We can generate this situation by simply pushing the freeze button. How to get this video? Well, pay an amount of your choice and get yourself the comprehensive tutorial. Oh, well, let's call it a tutorial. You can download it then, it's yours. But you must please either copy it and give it to other people, nor send the download link to other people. The whole stuff is copyright. And here is how you get it. First, you donate via PayPal an amount of your choice, mention an email address you want the video link be sent to, and write which video you want to view, download, in the comments of your payment order. Second, PayPal sends your money, your email address, and the title of your wanted video to me. Third, I'll send a link to your video to the email address you mentioned with your payment. Fourth, enjoy your video. You can download it now. If you are the owner of a lifetime license, you don't have to donate at all. Just send me an email with your name and the number of your license and, of course, the video, or even more than one, you want to watch or download. I'll send the link to you as described above. Have a great day and a good time. Rolf.